everyone. Good morning, everyone. How are you all? So, welcome to Drishti IAS and welcome to the online live class on Drishti Learning app. And once again, we are into a new class today for the UGC-NET Paper 2 Political Science and myself, Girish Venkatesh. So, till the last class, what we did? Last class, our entire discussion was with regard to the traditional approach. Whether it was the philosophical approach, whether it was the legal approach or the historical approach. Yes, we did not talk anything about the institutional approach. Why? Because in the second class, we had talked about the institutional approach. Okay, so today is our fourth class, and today also we'll be talking about approaches itself, but it is new institutionalism. As I had said you, today our entire discussion will be on new institutionalism. And as we complete the approaches, let me make it very clear, as we complete the approaches, we will be dealing with the MCQs of the entire approach part. I have a lot of MCQs, but yes, with relation to a 2-hour session of MCQs, as many MCQs we can deal with, we will deal with all the MCQs. Okay, so let us finish first the approaches. Let's go on with the revision part or the quick wrap up of what we did in last 2 classes, especially in the last class. And in the last class, we talked about traditional approach. And we all know that it will take me 5 minutes to get it revised. And it's very important to get, every time there is a new class, we have to go back, because these are the concepts which are, related to each other. So if we go into a new topic, then there is no need of revision of the last classes. But if we are into the approaches part, then every day we have to somewhat sum up what we did in the last class, because that will help you to actually regain what you all did it. And I know that I gave you a task that yesterday I completed the historical, the legal and the philosophical aspects of traditional approach. You should have gone through it of whichever book you have with you with regard to BAs and MAs. Okay, so you should go with the reading part, you should go with the preparation part from the books which you have with you. I'll be referring you certain books, but yes, because you all are into political science, you have done your BAs and you are into your MAs, or you have been completed your MAs. So you are better aware of the books which you are comfortable with. I can suggest you books, ho sakta hai in those books the language can be such that you may be confused. So try to avoid taking into new books. Just go with the books which you have already gone with. And if you are well aware, if you're clear with each and everything of that book, then you can go with a new book. Okay. So that is the mode of preparation out here. But yes, the best part is that we will be discussing each and every, we will be discussing each and every topics with regard to the in-depth knowledge, and then we will be doing the MCQ part of each and every topic. As I said, we'll be completing each and every approaches. It will take, I guess, round about till Saturday we'll be doing that. And after that, on Monday, we'll be coming with the MCQs. Okay. And you have to reply with that. And once again, I'll tell each and every student who is joining me online, welcome once again. Good morning, everyone. It's a new day for all of us. So it should be a good day in the beginning. And the good day is that we have to understand each and everything. And you should have your copies and your pen right in front of you with a bottle of water. So no getting up for the next 2 hours. You are exclusively with Girish Venkatesh and exclusively with Drishti IAS for the next 2 hours. Okay, so let's come. Quick wrap up. Last class we did traditional approach, and we know that traditional approach was widely accepted until the outbreak of the Second World War, number one. Number two, whatever other traditional approaches, they are mostly connected with traditional political outlook. That means they are mostly connected with traditional political outlook, and these traditional political outlook, they emphasize the study of state and governance. That means in traditional approach, the main emphasis is on the study of state and governance. As well as the traditional approaches, they are primarily concerned with the study of state's organization, its operations, as well as the concept and ideas. That means everything with regard to the state and the governance, its organizations, its operations, its concepts and ideas. As well as they are normative and philosophical methods. That means they apply normative as well as philosophical methods. And in traditional approach, it's believed that political science should be limited to formal institutions. That means the study of political system, that means the comparative study of political system, it should only be limited to formal institutions like that of the government, law, rules and regulations. Okay, and the last one is that those who are the supporters of this traditional technique, they emphasize various norms, that is what ought to be, what should be, rather than what is. Okay, so this is what is traditional approach. So it is the study of state and governance, it is the study of the state's organization, it's the study of the concepts, the ideas, as well as we can say the operations, and its normative and philosophical methods. Plus it also says that the political system, the comparative study of the political system. Sir, have you started? Yes, I have started. Yes, Prapti Sharma, good morning. Yes, I have started. Have you joined? If you are joined, just give me a thumbs up on the live chat if you have joined. We are just doing a recap. Prapti, we are just doing a recap of yesterday's class. Okay. So in traditional approach, they say that they believe that whatever comparative study we are doing about the political system, it should be limited to formal institutions like that of the government, like that of the laws, rules and regulations. Plus they lay emphasis on the norms like what ought to be, what should be, rather than it's what is. Okay, so let's come with the philosophical approach. Yesterday we talked about the philosophical approach. Not to waste a lot of time out here, the entire philosophical approach, the comparison, that means whatever comparative politics of whatever comparison is done between the political systems in the philosophical approach, it is based on the fundamental political ideas, values and concepts. That means in philosophical approach, the main ground of comparison between the political systems is that of political ideas, values and concepts. So this is what is we talk about there. As well as the proponents are Plato, Immanuel Kant and Aristotle. This is what, and then we talked about the characteristics of this approach. The first characteristic was its normative analysis. That means in philosophical approach, what we see is that there is a normative framework which is established. What is established? A normative framework. That means there is a normative framework which is established, and this normative framework is established so as to evaluate different political systems, and on the basis of which values and ideas this normative analysis framework is established. It's established on the basis of justice, ethics and moral principles. That means first characteristic of philosophical approach is with that of normative analysis. Here they say that the philosophical approach, what it tries to establish is a normative framework, that too for evaluating political systems. And this normative framework, it tries to examine various political systems on the grounds of justice, ethics, and moral principles. These are the values and ideas. And second one is political theory. They say that comparative politics often draws from political theories. That means the very first line is saying that all the comparative politics, they are often drawn from political theories. And what are these political theories? It can be liberalism, it can be conservatism, socialism, feminism. That means these political theories, they help us to analyze and compare political system. That means with the help of these political theories, we are trying to analyze and compare political system. That's why the philosophical approach second feature is with regard to political theories. That means the mode of comparison between political systems is that of political theories such as liberalism, conservatism, socialism and feminism. Then comes values and ideas. Values and ideas is this particular approach, that is the philosophical approach. As I had always said, okay, Amit, welcome Amit, hello, how are you? So is my voice and my screen all clear? So you people have joined the live chat, very good, and it's nice to see you all responding out there. So once again I'll tell, this is a class in which we'll be talking about new institutionalism approach. What I'm doing now is I'm giving a recap of yesterday's class so that everything comes in your mind. And on Monday, I have said that we are going to have a MCQ session. So all of you have to be there. Okay. Okay, video is not playing on your screen. You can just report it to the coordinator. Okay, it will be done. It's from our side, everything is fine, I guess so. So values and ideas. If we talk about the third feature of philosophical approach, it's values and ideas. That means the philosophical approach, it focuses on the study of what? Values and ideas. And what are these values and ideas? These values and ideas are that of freedom, it's that of equality, and it's that of democracy. So these values and ideas, they help in political decision making. These values and ideas, they help in what? Political decision making. And these values and ideas are with reference to freedom, equality and democracy. So different countries, what philosophical approaches say is that different countries are compared on the basis of these values and ideas. That means how much priority does each country give to these values and ideas. So basically the overall philosophical approach, it's based on normative analysis in which it tries to establish a normative framework for comparing different political systems, and this normative framework is judged on the basis of justice, ethics and moral principles. Second is, it talks about political theories. That means the comparison is also made with regard to the political theories which different countries adapt, whether it is with relation to liberalism, whether it is with relation to socialism, conservatism or feminism. And the third one is that this approach focuses on the study of values and ideas which play a very important role in the political decision making. And these values and ideas are with regard to freedom, equality as well as democracy. And in comparative politics, what we try to do is that we try to see which country gives priority, how much priority to all these values and ideas. That is what is in philosophical approach. Okay, we did it. Then comes historical approach. See, historical approach, the entire concept, the proponents like Machiavelli, Dunning and Sabine, their entire approach was based on what? It was based on past. That means they said that whatever is the contemporary political system, it has significance. That means the contemporary political system, it has some or the other influence of historical events and developments. That means the historical events and developments are significant in shaping contemporary political systems. So that's why what they do is that they try to do the comparison. They try to study comparative politics, or they try to study the comparison of different political system with their historical events and developments. Because according to this approach, the historical events and developments play a significant role in shaping contemporary political system. Apart from that, they assume that historical context of a nation greatly influences its political structure. That means whatever is a nation's political structure, it's greatly influenced by the historical context of that nation. Yesterday I gave you the example of India. India's freedom struggle was based on what? It was based on anti-racial sentiments, it was based on equality, it was based on Swaraj and all. So that's what is reflected in our constitution. That's what is reflected in our political structure and system. And what are the characteristics on which this approach is based? The characteristics is like its historical analysis, historical context. That means the entire comparison here, the comparative political analysis, they are using this approach to explore country's past to comprehend its political evolution. That means just to study the political evolution of a country, they are trying to go into the past of that country. That is historical context of that country. Okay. So, and what they do investments with regard to historical events, revolutions, colonialisms, cultural factors that have shaped in countries, institution as well as political structure. Then comes path dependency. This is a new concept. This was a concept which the historical approach gave. Now this path dependency is a concept in which it is suggested that the past decision and events can have enduring effects on the nation's national political trajectory. That means, what is this past dependency? This past dependency says that whatever is the past decision and events of a country, that means a nation's past decision and events will have an enduring effect. Enduring means everlasting effect or a great effect on the political trajectory of that country. Political trajectory here means the political lifeline of that country. Okay. So you people are facing somewhat problem. Sir, I'm unable to have the audio and video. Okay. Prapti, you're not able to have the audio and video. Shubham has a complaint with regard to the app stops working again and again, and the video is not working, playing neither live nor VOD. Okay, let me report this to the authority. Just a minute. प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है बच्चों Okay, I got a message from the authorities out here is that the coordination team out here is that there is a bit of internet problem here. It will take 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. So after that it will be over. Okay, in 5 or 10 minutes the things will be over. Bit of internet internet problem. See, there is a bit of internet problem going on. So that's why we are sorry. Prapti, Shubham, Amit, you will be getting the live and everything shortly, okay? So here the path dependency is nothing else. It's a concept which suggests that past decisions and events, they can have an enduring effect on the nation's political trajectory. Then comes case studies. That means whenever the historical comparisons are done, they are done on the basis of in-depth case studies, and that too on specific countries or regions. That means there is an in-depth case study which is being done with regard to specific countries or regions. And these studies allow researchers to trace the evolution of political institutions and understand how they are influencing the historical legacies. That means these are the method applied in historical approach. The method applied is in-depth case studies, and in-depth case studies with regard to specific countries and regions. And when there is an in-depth case study with regard to specific countries and regions, these studies, what they do, they allow the researchers to trace means to find out the evolution of political institutions, and it also helps them to understand how are influenced by historical legacies. Then comes the legal approach. See, once again I'll tell you, we are not started with the topic yet of today's. Okay, I have reported, Prapti, I have reported your concern to the authorities here. They say that the internet, there is a slight bit of internet problem going on from our side. So we are sorry for the inconvenience which is caused to you. Okay, it will be resolved in couple of minutes. Okay, don't worry about that. So next comes the legal approach. The legal approach to comparative politics, it only concentrates with regard to the examination of legal system. And what is this legal system? Examination of legal system, constitutional structures, and the rule of law across different countries. And it also highlights what is the role of law in shaping the political behavior. And here the approach was propounded by Sayre, Borden, Hobbes, John Austin, Dicey, and Henry Maine. And what are the characteristics to this approach? The characteristics are like constitutional analysis. Constitutional analysis in the sense this particular approach involves examination of national constitution. Plus there is a legal tradition and legal institutions. Legal tradition means every country, different countries have different legal traditions. Like they have their own common law, they have different civil law, they have different religious law. Now, these legal traditions which they have, that legal tradition actually impacts that country's legal and political system. So, in that basis also, we compare different countries. That means on legal aspects, what we do is that on legal aspects, we try to compare things. Then comes legal institutions. Now, legal institutions is what? Legal institutions are the courts. Now, the courts, what they do, they are the ones who enforce and interpret the law. So, here we are trying to compare how institutional functions in different countries, how the court functions in different. Like in India, the court is independent. So, it functions as an independent body. Even the legislature or the government cannot interfere in the court's decision. So please remember that. So overall, last class we talked about philosophical approach, its features, normative, political theory and values and ideals, historical context, path dependency and case studies, and legal approach was constitutional analysis, then legal tradition and legal institution. Now today, as I said, we are going to start with this approach, that is new institutionalism approach. Now, yesterday I gave you a bit of introduction with this new institutional approach. I did give you a 5 to 10 minutes introduction on this. But today we'll go into the depth. As I said yesterday, the new institutionalism approach, it's what? New institutionalism approach. This new institutional approach, it came into being because of the limitations in the traditional approach. Because there were limitations with regard to traditional approach of comparative politics, as a result of which the new institutionalism approach came up. And it came up during 1980s and 90s. That is, during 1980s and 90s, this new institutional approach, it gained prominence and it gave a fresh perspective on understanding political institution. Fresh perspective in the sense it gave a fresh viewpoint with regard to understanding political institutions. So when did this new institutionalism approach come up? It came up during 1980s and 90s with a fresh perspective. Fresh perspective means fresh viewpoint with regard to understanding political institutions. Now, what is this approach trying to do? Now, this point is very important. This will make you understand what is this approach actually trying to do. Now, the approach sought to integrate insights from various disciplines, including economics, sociology, and political science, to provide a more comprehensive understanding of institutions and their impact on political behavior and outcome. That means, what is this new institutional approach trying to do? It's trying to integrate means bring together. It's trying to integrate or bring together the various principles from various disciplines. मतलब अलग-अलग disciplines से it is trying to bring different principles and it is trying to integrate all those principles. That means some principles from economics, some from sociology, some from political science. So the insights from various disciplines, they are brought together, they are integrated, so that what happens? A more comprehensive understanding of institution takes place. Got it? That means, once again I'll tell you, in this approach, what is happening is that in this approach, various principles from various disciplines, they are integrated so that a more comprehensive understanding of political institutions are created, as a result of which we are able to understand political behavior as well as outcomes. That means here it's not only the histories, it's not only the political science. Here we are taking principles from economics, we are taking principles from sociology, as a result of which we are able to develop a more comprehensive, a more comprehensive understanding of political institutions and their impact on political behavior and outcome. So here one thing is very important, that is integrate the insights from various disciplines, including economics, sociology, and political science, to provide more comprehensive understanding of institution and their impact on political behavior and outcome. Then next part, it's saying that the new institutionalism emphasized the importance of institutions in shaping individual behavior, social interactions, and political processes. That means this new institutionalism approach, It's giving importance to what? It's giving importance to institutions. It says that these political institutions, they play a very important role when it comes to shaping political behavior or individual behavior, when it comes to shaping the social interaction as well as political processes. That means, first of all, they are trying to develop a more comprehensive understanding of political institution. And how they are trying to come up with a more comprehensive understanding of political system. Comprehensive means more in-depth and wide. So how they are able to come with a more comprehensive understanding of political system? By integrating principles from various disciplines like that of economics, sociology and political science. And when they are able to develop a more comprehensive understanding of political institution, then they also try to study what will be its impact on political behavior as well as outcome. Then one more thing they are saying is that the new institutionalism approach, it also emphasizes the importance of institution. Institution means political institution. The importance of political institution in shaping individuals' behavior, societal interaction, as well as political processes. Okay? So, what they say is that, and one more thing they are saying here, it's saying that these political institutions, yes, they play a very important role in shaping individuals' behavior, in shaping societal, interaction, in shaping political process, but they also remind one thing, and they say that these political institutions are not a reflection of individuals' preferences. That means these political institutions do not reflect individuals' preference, your preference, my preference. They do not reflect that. Rather, they have their own independent effects and outcomes. That means these political institutions, they are completely independent with regard to their outcomes and with regard to their effects. They are not affected, they are not reflecting any individual preferences. Got it? Clear hai? Okay, so new institutionalism is trying to bring a fresh perspective. And what is that fresh perspective? They are trying to create a comprehensive understanding of political institutions. Thereby, they are trying to integrate the principles of various disciplines like economics, political science and sociology, and with the help of this, they are trying to shape individual behavior, societal interactions as well as political processes. One more thing this approach highlights. The approach highlights the role of formal as well as informal institutions. See, the traditional approach, it only highlighted the role of formal, that is state and government. State, government, law and all. It only highlighted the formal institutions. Am I right? But what about this approach? This approach highlighted the role of formal and informal rules, formal and informal norms, as well as organizational structure, which shapes political behavior. That means it focused on studying how institutions shape incentives, constrain action, and provide stability and predictability to the political system. Okay, so one more point with regard to new institutionalism, what it is that it is focusing on the role of formal and informal rules. It is focusing on the roles of formal and informal norms as well as formal and informal organizational structures. And these formal and informal organizational structures, norms and rules, how they are shaping political behavior. That means a political behavior is shaped by these formal and informal rules, norms and organizational structures. Plus, they are also saying that this new approach, it focuses on the study of how institutions shape, that means how these institutions shape incentive, constraint action, provide stability as well as predictability. And last, the new institutionalism brought attention to the historical and cultural context in which institutions operate. That means the traditional only talked about the historical context. But here, the new institutionalism, apart from historical context, they are also talking about the cultural context, which is playing a very important role in institutions' operation. That means they recognize that institutions are path dependent, meaning that their development and evolution are influenced by past events and experiences. And last, the scholars here of new institutional approach, they are using a variety of methods like case studies, like comparative analysis, and even like quantitative techniques. That means here the methods are case studies also, here the methods are of comparative analysis also, and quantitative techniques also. For what? To examine the role of institutions in political process and outcome. And last, they say the new institutionalism opened up avenues of dialogue and integration with other approaches. That means it was for the first time that this approach tried to have a dialogue and integration with other approaches. Traditional approaches never did it. They were exclusive. They never tried to have dialogue or integration with other approaches. But new institutionalism approach tried to have, opened up avenues. Opened up avenues means it opened the path of dialogue and integration, which was earlier closed. So it opened up avenues for dialogue and integration with other approaches such as behavioralism, rational choice theory, structuralism, Marxism, post-structuralism, and all this promoted what? It promoted interdisciplinary research and collaboration. That means when new institutionalism, it opened up avenues for dialogue and integration with other approaches. As a result of this, when there will be dialogue, when there will be integration with other approaches, just think what will happen. It will result to what? It will result to promotion of interdisciplinary research and collaboration. That means there will be a research, there will be a collaboration which will be interdisciplinary. That means other approaches are also coming together, and all of them, they are doing the research and they are doing the collaboration. So this was what was new institutionalism. Okay. So all of you who are online live, please tell me if you are able to understand the pattern in which I'm teaching you. Is it too fast? Or you are able to understand it clearly? Because the main thing is that whatever be the medium of teaching, whether it is online or it is offline, one thing should be very clear. Both the teacher and the student, they must be sincere. They must know that they are preparing, or they are making the students prepared for competitive exams. So what I always suggest is that for the students who are joining me live online, that from my side you will always get 100%. There will be no wastage of time in this 2 hours. It will be only topic, and not other than that. Yes, I'll be giving you few feedbacks like this in the middle because this is necessary. Okay? This is very much necessary. only having a cup of tea won't happen. You should have one biscuit every now and then. So this is somewhat a biscuit sort of thing that I keep on telling, that yes, you have to be serious with your studies. You have to be serious with your preparation part. You have to be, what to say, smart enough with your preparation part. Okay? Because you all are now grown up ones. So you need to decide your line, your path of preparation. Yes, we are there to help you out. We are there to make things clear for you. But whenever you feel any doubt, you are free to ask it on the live chat. I'll make it sure that I'll address your problem. Okay. And with regard to internet, I don't know what's happening. Amit, Prapti and Shubham and others, if there is still any problem, then please tell me. Okay. Now, the new institutional approach, it also contributed to one more thing. It also contributed in understanding power, conflict, and dynamics of institutional change. That means it's trying to make us understand power, conflict, as well as dynamics of institutional change. Okay? Koi dikkat? So we have gone with the introduction part. Okay? Let's sum up. Should we sum up? Yes or no? Yes. Prapti, you seem to be live. If you think that yes, we should sum up once again, you can just give a thumbs up and just give your feedback, please. Students are required to give your feedback, like how you're feeling for this class. Is it okay? It's good, it's better, it's best, or it's so-so. Okay? Chalo, new institutional approach. Let's sum up. New institutional approach, number one, it was an approach as to a response to the limitations of traditional approach. Then in this new institutional approach, it developed during 1980s and 90s, and it brought a fresh perspective on understanding political institutions. Now in this new institutional approach, what they are trying to do, they are trying to integrate principles from various various disciplines. They are trying to integrate principles from various disciplines, that is economics, sociology and political science, and as a result they will develop a more comprehensive understanding of political institution, which will have an impact on political behavior and outcome. So they are trying to create a more comprehensive understanding of political institutions. Then they also say that the new institutionalism also emphasizes that these political institutions, they are very important in shaping individuals' behavior, in shaping societal interactions as well as political processes. And they also remind one thing, that the political institutions, they are not reflections of individual individuals' preferences. They are not a reflection to an individual preference. Rather, they have their own independent actions as well as outcomes. Third thing, this new institutionalism approach, it tries to highlight the role of formal and informal rules, norms, organizational structures which help in shaping political behavior. Okay, then it also talks about, this new institutionalism also focuses on the historical as well as the cultural context in which institutions operated. And at last we can say that the new institutional approach used a variety of techniques to compare political systems, like that of case studies, like that of comparative analysis, like that of quantitative techniques, and all this examined the role of institutions in political processes and outcome. Plus, this new institutionalism, it opened a new avenue. Yeah, it opened an avenue of dialogue and integration with other approaches. It opened an avenue of dialogue and integration with other approaches. As a result of which, what happened? As a result of which, It promoted interdisciplinary research as well as collaboration. Interdisciplinary research with regard to what? Political institutions. So this was the approach, new institutionalism, which actually opened up avenues of dialogue and integration with other approaches. And which were these other approaches? These approaches were that of behavioralism, rational choice theory, structuralism, post-structuralism, Marxism and all. And at last we can say that new institutionalism also contributed in understanding power, also contributed in understanding conflict, and also contributed in understanding dynamics of institutional change. Okay, chalo. Now we will be talking about the various models of new institutionalism. The various models of new institutionalism. Is the screen and my voice clear, please? First is historical institutionalism. Models of new institutionalism may, first one is historical institutionalism. Now, historical institutionalism, what happened? It emerged as a response to pluralistic and structural functional interpretation within political science. That means in political science, there was interpretation with regard to political institutions and all. And these interpretations were done by the pluralist as well as the structural functional interpretations. So, as a response to this pluralist and structural functional interpretations, historical institutionalism emerged. Number one. That means this first point is talking about why did this emerge, this historical institutionalism. This historical institutionalism model, it appeared, why it emerged as a response to what? As a response to pluralist as well as structural functional interpretations within political system. Okay. Next, it was more influenced by the structural functionalist, particularly in accepting the idea of the polity as an overall system of interacting parts. See, we all know that in structural functionalist, the functions of political institutions, they are taken into consideration. So this particular, historical institutionalism, it was more about influenced with this structural functionalist. Why? Because structural functionalist, they gave more importance to the idea of polity when it talks about the studying of various parts of political institution. That means there are various parts of political institution, and these various parts of political institutions, they are interacting with each other. And structural functionalist, they said that there are functions being provided, functions being performed by them, as a result of which they are interacting. Then the historical institutionalism focuses on the impact of timing, sequence and path dependence on institutions and how they shape political economic behavior. That means this historical institutionalism, it's focusing on what? It's focusing on the timing. What is the impact of timing? Plus, it's focusing on the sequence and path dependence. Plus, it's focusing on the institutions. Okay? How these timing, how the timings, how the path dependency and how institutions, they are shaping political and economic behavior. It even emphasizes uneven distribution and operation of power influenced by institutions. That means here in historical institutionalism, the focus is also on uneven distribution and operation of power. That means the power is unevenly distributed and it is unevenly operated. So that is what also is being emphasized in this. That is the uneven distribution and operation of power influenced by institutions. Historical institutionalism explains how institutions generate specific path and structure a nation's response to emerging challenges. That means this historical institutionalism, it tells that how does every institution, they have a specific path. Specific path means a proper path, a particular path. Specific means here a particular path. That means how do they generate that particular path as well as a particular structure, and what is the nation's response to the emerging challenges. That means new institutionalism is basically trying to explain that how different nations adopt specific path and structure, and as a result of which how they are able to meet the emerging challenges or face the emerging challenges. And this approach is attentive to the relationship between institution and ideas or beliefs. That means this approach also talks about the relationship between political institutions and ideas. Plus, historical institutionalism also takes into account historical context and acknowledges that institutions are not static but subject to change and adaptation. That means here, historical institutionalism, it takes historical context. It says that there is a path dependency, but still the nations, they are not static, the institutions are not static, and they are subject to change and adaptation. That means there will be changes, and those changes have to be adapted by these institutions. Okay? Yes, sir. Sir, you are teaching very well, but due to network and app issue, bit tensed due to this, I can't attend yesterday's class and facing issue today also. Yes, sir, it's clear. Shubham and Prapti. Shubham, particularly if there is a problem with regard to the issue which you are talking, I will certainly talk today to the management, okay, and I'll report this thing to them that the students are facing problem with regard to the connectivity, okay. So don't worry about that, don't worry, the things will be solved. You won't sacrifice even a minute of it, okay. And I promise, we at Drishti IAS, we deliver things, okay, and we keep our promises. So don't worry about that. Whatever you have missed, you can also have an interactive session with me, and in that interactive session I will clear everything to you. Don't worry, okay, don't worry. Chalo. Or you can also, there is a you might have that recording facility also, recorded class. That recorded class also you can go with. It will be clear there also, okay, don't worry. So historical institutionalism, what it takes into account what? Historical context. That means it talks about path dependency, but at the same time it says that the institutions are not static. Institutions are not static, they are subject to change and adaptation. Why? Because things change, okay. Then it utilizes comparative analysis of different historical cases to understand the role of institutions in shaping political outcome. That means this historical institutionalism approach, what it does is that it takes into account different historical cases. Matlab, alag-alag historical cases it takes with regard to different countries, with regard to different nations, and what was the role of institutions in this different historical cases. And according to that, they try to come with a political outcome. And historical institutionalism draws from multiple disciplines, including political science, economics, and sociology, to provide a comprehensive understanding of institution. That means, once again, it's saying that because historical institutionalism is a part of new institutionalism, so it draws from multiple disciplines. It is drawing from multiple disciplines, that is from economics, sociology, political science, and from all this they are trying to create a more comprehensive understanding of institution and their effects. Okay, okay, it's clear now. See, before we go into the criticism, I'll tell once again, see, I'll give you one very, free advice. One free advice for all of you. Not charging anything for this advice. Have a pen and a copy always in front of you. Whatever things I am underlining, or sorry, not underlining, I'm doing a circle, write it down. You should write these things. Okay. Chalo, once again we'll move into this historical approach and we'll talk from a new perspective so that you can understand. See, I'll try to explain each approach once or twice, 2 times, at least 2 times, so that you are well clear with all the approaches. Okay. Chalo, I'm very happy that today you people are actually responding in the live chat. And I thank you all that you are really liking the way I'm teaching and you're really able to understand. That is what is my motto. My motto is to make you people understand. Okay. Chalo. Models of new institutionalism approach. Pehla, we talked about historical institutionalism. Let's try to understand in a new manner. Okay. Chalo, फिर से understand करते हैं so that it becomes clear to us. Historical institutionalism. Now, this historical institutionalism, why did it emerge? Why did it emerge? It emerged as a response to pluralist and structural functional interpretations within political science. That means there were pluralist as well as structural functional interpretations. There were pluralist interpretations, there were structural functional interpretations within political science. In response to that pluralist interpretation, in response to that structural functional interpretation, this historical institutionalism emerged. Clear? First point. Is it clear? Okay, very good. Next. Now, this historical institutionalism, it's influenced by what? It says that it's more influenced by structural functionalist. It's more influenced by structural functionalist rather than pluralist. It's more influenced by structural functionalist, particularly in accepting the idea of polity. That means structural functionalists talked about the idea of polity. And they said that this idea of polity, they said that there is an overall system of integrating parts. That means in political system, the functions are an integrating part. So this historical institutionalism, it was more influenced to this structural functionalist. Why? Because they accepted the idea of polity as an overall system of interacting parts. That means it is political institution which leads to interaction of various parts. It is political system which helps in the interaction of various political parts. Okay, so this is what is, that's why they are influenced more by structural functionalist. Why? Because the structural functionalist said that there is an idea of polity, and this idea of polity helps in the overall integration of various parts of political process. Okay, so this is what they are more influenced by, what? Structural functionalist. And the reason is this: assertion reasoning. Assertion reasoning. Now here I can say you, there are questions with regard to assertion reasoning. So this can be an assertion reasoning. They can say that historical institutionalism. The assertion is that historical institutionalism, listen to my question, please. Everyone, please listen to the question. Historical institutionalism is more influenced to structural functionalist. Reason is the idea of polity. Reason is the idea of polity, which helps in the overall interaction of various political parts, overall interaction of the political process. So the reason is right. Why are these historical institutionalism, why are the proponents of historical institutionalism so much influenced by structural functionalist? Because structural functionalist talks about an idea of polity, and they also think that it is this idea of polity which leads to the overall system of interacting parts. Okay, chalo. Let's third. Historical institutionalism, they are focusing on what? They are focusing on the impact of timing. That means their main focus is on the impact of timing plus sequence and path dependence on institutions, that is historical context, plus how they shape political and economic behavior. That means their main focus is on what? Historical institutionalism. Their main focus is on what? Their main focus is on three things. Number one, impact of timing. Number two, sequence and path dependence on institutions, that is historical context on institutions. Sequence and path dependence on institutions, that is what is the impact of historical events on institutions. And the third one is the shape of political and economic behavior. Okay. Next, they also emphasize uneven distribution and operation of power. Matlab, they also emphasize about the uneven distribution and operation of power influenced by institutions. That means in every political system, there is an uneven distribution of power and operation of power, and that is influenced by what? Political system. So they are emphasizing this also. Okay, so their emphasis is on what? Their emphasis is on the idea of polity. Their focus is on what? Impact of timing, sequence and path dependency on institutions, and how they shape political and economic behavior. And their emphasis is on what? Uneven distribution and operation of power. Next, they say that, next is that historical institutions explain how institutions generate specific path and structure. That means this institutionalism model, it says how political institutions, they try to generate a specific path, a particular path and a particular structure, and what is the response of the nation to this emerging challenge. Okay, that means they have generated a specific path and structure. Every institution, they have generated a specific path and structure. But what is the nation's response to the emerging challenge? As well as this model of institutionalism, it also talks about the relationship between institution and ideas. And it also takes into account the historical context and acknowledges that institutions are not static, but they are subject to change and adaptation. That means on one side, it takes into account historical context. That means it talks about path dependency. But at the same time, they say that the institutions are not static. they are bound to have changes as well as adaptations. And the last one is that it uses a comparative analysis of different historical cases to understand the role. That means historical cases are this model of institutionalism. It is using historical cases, historical events, so as to understand the role of institutions in shaping political outcome. And last one is that this historical individualism, this historical institutionalism is drawn from multiple disciplines. This historical institutionalism, it's drawn from multiple disciplines, that is economics, sociology, political science, and as a result of which it's able to develop a more comprehensive understanding of political institutions and their effects. ठीक है जी? Clear? Yes, everyone who's there online, Amit, Prapti, Shubham, and others. Is it clear to each and every one of you? Let's go with the criticism part. Okay. Chalo, this historical individualism, it was criticized. Criticized on what grounds? A first ground of criticism was it did more emphasis on historical analysis. That is, the critics argue that historical institutionalism places too much emphasis on historical context and path dependency, which can limit its applicability to understanding contemporary political dynamics. Got it? It's very clear. That means historical institutionalism, the critics criticized it on this ground. They criticized it on the grounds that historical individualism, it's giving more importance to historical context as well as path dependency. That means it's trying to study, it's trying to compare things with regard to historical events and all. As a result of which, the critics say that this particular model of individualism, what it will do, it will limit its applicability in understanding contemporary political dynamics. That means its scope will be limited because contemporary political dynamics, it's not always related to histories. So first one is that it gives more emphasis, overemphasis on historical analysis. Clear? Is it clear? Very good. Very good. First one is clear. So first one criticize किस grounds पे हुआ? Overemphasis to historical context and path dependencies. As a result, it is limiting its what? Applicability. It's limiting its applicability, and हो सकता है it cannot be applicable to the contemporary political dynamics. Then comes lack of generalizability. Lack of generalizability. Please spell it properly. Generalizability. अगर एक बार बोलोगे तो it gets confused. It's generalizability. So lack of generalizability. Lack of generalizability means what? The focus is on unique historical trajectories and specific context that may make it difficult to generalize findings across different cases and contexts. That means here in historical individualism, their focus is on what? Unique historical trajectories. Trajectories means paths. Unique historical trajectories as well as specific context. And their context is what? Specific. So their main focus is on what? Specific context as well as unique historical trajectories. As a result of which, it is difficult for this model to generalize findings across different cases or contexts. That means you cannot generalize things. Matlab, on general grounds, you will not be able to compare things. You will only be able to compare things when it comes to unique historical trajectory or specific context. When it comes to finding generalized differences, then that generalized finding across different cases and contexts, it's different. So there is lack of generalizability, or you can say generalization. Then neglect of agency. Neglect of agency is that here the critics argue that historical institutionalism often overlooks means it often neglects, nazarandaz kar. It often overlooks the agency and strategic behavior of political actors. That means, who is the agency here? The agency here are the political actors. So this historical institutionalism, it overlooks the political actors, or it overlooks the strategic behavior of these political actors, and it places more emphasis on impact of institution and historical legacies. Got it? So 3 grounds till now I have criticized. I have shown the criticism. One is on the grounds that this model, historical institutionalism, it overemphasizes on historical context. It overemphasizes on historical context and path dependencies, as a result of which it is limiting its applicability. That too to contemporary political dynamics. Number 2, lack of generalizability. Lack of generalizability means historical institutionalism is focusing on only 2 things. One is unique historical trajectory, that means the unique historical events which have shaped the current political system. So they are focusing on that unique historical trajectory as well as some specific context. So as a result of which there is a difficulty to generalize findings across different cases or context. So when we will try to generalize findings, when we'll try to find things with regard to various cases and contexts on a general manner, then that will be difficult, because our findings, our comparison are only based on his unique historical trajectories as well as what? Specific context. The third one is that it neglects agencies. That means it only gives emphasis to historical events. It only gives emphasis to historical legacies and their impacts on the institutions. But it tries to overlook the political actors. It tries to overlook the political behaviors or the strategic behavior of these political actors. So that's why there is a neglect. Okay, clear? Please keep on responding on that live chat. If you have any doubt, just type it there and I'll tell it once again, that particular part, if you have any doubt. So this is what is with the end of the historical institutionalism. Then the second model of institutionalism is rational choice institutionalism. First one was what? Historical institutionalism. Second one was what? Rational choice institutionalism. And to be honest, let's recap this new institutionalism. Why did it develop? It developed because of the limitations of what? Limitations of traditional approach. And during 1980s and 90s. And it talked about what? It talked about integrating insights from various disciplines. As a result, they will try to develop a more comprehensive understanding of political institutions and their impact on political behavior and outcomes. Okay, so this is what we are talking about in new institutionalism. Plus, they focus on formal as well as informal rules, norms, organizational structures, and all. Yes, they on one side they are talking about historical context, but also about cultural context also. So this was what was new institutionalism. So please keep in mind whenever we are going into the models, because the models are based on this concept only. Okay. Chalo bhai, Amit, Prapti, Shubham and others. Is it clear to every one of you? Any doubt? Or should I move into the second part? That is rational choice. Rational choice institutionalism. Yes, Prapti. Do you have any doubt? Chalo. Let's go to the rational choice institutionalism. Now, this rational choice institutionalism, it's a theory-based approach. It's a theory-based approach. And it focuses on the study of institutions and how they affect rational individual behavior. See, when I'm saying rational individual, every individual is rational. I cannot say that you are irrational, I am irrational. We all are rational. Why? Because we have a mind. And we know our need. We are well aware of our need. And according to that, we do work. According to that, our actions are dependent. So that's why we are rational. No one on this earth is irrational. Everyone, whosoever is there in this one earth, they are rational human beings. And their behavior is rational. Why? Because whatever they do it knowingly, and that too they are well conscious of whatever their needs are, and according to that their actions depend. So in this rational choice institutionalism, it's basically a theory based approach. So it's a theoretical approach. Theory based approach means it's a theoretical approach. Thank you, Prapti. Thank you. So it's a theory based approach, and it focuses on what? It focuses on the study of institutions, plus how these institutions will affect rational human behavior. One, it's a theory based approach. Second, it's a study of political institutions and how these institutions will affect a rational individual's behavior. This is what we study in rational choice individualism. Plus, this institutionalism, this model of institutionalism, it was inspired by the observation of phenomena in American Congress, in American congressional conduct that couldn't be explained by conventional rational choice assumptions. That means this particular model, it's inspired by one thing, it's inspired by the observation of the phenomena in American Congress conduct. That means whatever is the conduct of American Congressional, that means whatever is the conduct in the American Congress, that conduct was observed, and from that observation inspiration was got, and this rational choice institutionalism came up. Okay, then this rational choice, RCI, is what? Rational choice institutionalism. Rational choice institutionalism assumes that the actors, that is the political actors, they have fixed preferences or goals, and they maximize their individual self-interest. That means here this rational choice institutionalism, it assumes, that is, the assumption is that the actors have a fixed preference. That means everyone has a fixed preference. Their preferences, that means the individual preferences are what? Fixed. Their goals are fixed, and that they maximize their individual's self-interest. That means their preferences are fixed and their individual self-interest they have to maximize. It views politics as a series of collective actions, dilemmas, where actors make choices based on the perceived cost and benefit. That means here they are talking about politics. This model of institutionalism, it sees politics as what? It views politics as a series of collective actions, dilemmas. It sees politics as a series of collective action dilemmas. There is a series of collective action and dilemmas where actors they make choices based on their preferences and their benefits. Okay, so this is what is rational choice institutionalism. Let's once again go through it. First point, it's well clear to you, I know. It says it's a theory based approach. Okay, its focus is on what? Study of institutions. Its focus is on study of institutions, and that too how these institutions affect rational individual behavior. This is what is rational choice institutionalism. Second thing is that this model got its inspiration, it was inspired by the observation of phenomena, in American congressional conduct. That means in the American Congress, the conduct of the members there, whatever was the conduct of that American Congress, by the observation of that this model got its influence. That means this model was influenced by the conduct of the American Congress, okay, and through observation. Okay, and then the rational choice institutionalism, it assumes what? It assumes that every actor, they have a fixed preference. Every actor, they have a fixed preference, and this preference, it calls it as a goal also. And every actor, they have a what? It is assuming that every actor has a fixed preference or goal, and that they maximize their individual self-interest. Matlab, whatever is their goal, that is their self-interest. That is their maximum self-interest. That means as an actor, according to this approach, as an actor, I have a self-interest. I have a goal. I have a fixed preference. And that goal or that fixed preference is my maximum self-interest. This is what is simple. Okay? So, rational choice institutionalism, it is assuming that every actor has a fixed preference or goal, and this fixed preference or goal is his or her maximum self-interest. Okay. Then, next point, this model of institutionalism is trying to explain politics. It's trying to define politics. It says that politics is a series of collective action dilemma. See, it's saying politics is a series of collective action dilemma, where the actors they make choices based on their prospective cost as well as benefit. That means whenever we talk about individual choice, every individual, when they are doing their choice depends upon the cost as well as the benefit. Cost is that what is the sacrifice they will be doing, monetarily and non-monetarily. See, take for an example. I'll give you a very good example on this part. The example is that, according to this, politics is what? A series of collective action dilemma. Collective action dilemma. That means there is an action by all the actors, but there is a dilemma. Dilemma means no one is sure. Everyone has their own choice. And what is their own choice? Their own choice depends upon their cost as well as benefit. Got it? This is only rational choice institutionalism. That means according to that individual is what? Rational. He is a rational individual. So whatever will be his behavior will be what? Rational individual. So according to this model of institutionalism, politics is a collective series of action dilemma where actors make choices according to their preferred cost and benefits. According to their perceived cost and benefits. That means whatever cost they have thought about, that much only they can do. That's why here the proponents of this model of institutionalism said that every actor has a fixed what? Fixed preference or goal. And this fixed preference or goal is his maximum self-interest, and this fixed preference or goal, which is his maximum self-interest, depends upon the actor's perceived cost as well as benefit. ठीक है, समझ में आया? तो इसीलिए this model is named as rational choice institutionalism. That means every human being is making a rational choice, and this rational choice is because they are independent actors. They are part of the politics. They are the ones who are there in this politics, and they are collectively doing actions, but they all have a dilemma. Dilemma with what? Dilemma with what is good for them, what is bad for them. ठीक है? Clear है? Yes. Amit, Prapti, Shubham and others. Is this rational choice institutionalism clear? Yes or no? Is it clear? Hanji. Chalo, let's move on till I get your reply. Chalo. Then one more thing, it's not over. This rational choice institutionalism draws from new economics of organization and emphasizes the role of property rights, rent seeking and transaction cost in understanding institutional behavior. That means here, as I said, new institutionalism has integrated principles from various disciplines. We said there na, new institutionalism integrated principles from various disciplines. What were those disciplines? Economics, sociology and political science. See, economics is coming here. See, in this model, the economics comes. Now what they say, the rational choice institutionalism. What is the rational choice? What is the choice depending on? Cost and benefit. And cost and benefit is what? Economics. It's what? Economics. Any producer who's trying to produce things, the first thing they will do is that, what is the cost and benefit? What is the cost and profit I'm going to get? That means they will calculate the cost, they will calculate the revenue which they will get, and as a result they will know the cost, they will know the profit. And that profit is what? Benefit. And according to that, they will go ahead with that. दैट इज ओनली इकोनॉमिक्स ना. इकोनॉमिक्स में यही तो हम डिसाइड करते हैं प्रोडक्शन में, और कंजम्पशन में भी तो हम यही डिसाइड करते हैं. whenever we are doing a consumption, even a bottle of water which we are consuming, if we are paying 10 rupees, then we see that the satisfaction which we are getting, it should be more than 10. if it is equal to 10 तो ठीक है, if it is more than 10 तो बहुत अच्छा है, but if it is less than 10 तो we should not make that choice. That is economics, am I right? From production and consumption point of view. And here also what they are saying, that rational choice institutionalism, it draws from the new economics of organization. That means it's taking its inspiration from what? It's inspired from the new economics of organization. And in this new economics of organization, emphasis is on what? It emphasis is on the role of property rights, that who has the rights of the property, as well as rent seeking, transaction cost in understanding institutional behavior. That means this RCI means rational choice institutionalism. It is drawn from the new economics of organization, and it emphasizes the role of, that means this model of institutionalism, it emphasizes the role of property rights, rent seeking, transaction cost when it comes to understanding institutional behavior. That means here institutional behavior are understood with relation to new economic of organization. New economic of organization के तहत या on the basis of new economic of organization, political institutions are understood. And what are the tools of new economic of organization? Property rights, rent seeking, and transaction cost. Next says, the approach seeks to explain how institutions save individual behavior and how rational actors strategically navigate institutional constraints to maximize their utility. That means here in this approach, they are saying that how these institutions, they are saving, how these political institutions, they are saving institutional behaviors, as well as the rational actors, how they are strategically means very knowledgeably, they are making strategy, that too rational strategy, and they are trying to find a thing, they are trying to navigate a path where they can cross the institutional constraint to maximize their utility. Maximize their utility means maximize their satisfaction. I know you might have not understood this point, but still I'll try to make you understand. See, let's divide this point into two parts. The first part is that this approach, that is the RCI. RCI is what? Rational choice institutionalism. This rational choice institutionalism is trying to explain how institutions are saving the individual behavior. That means how come these institutions, they are saving individual behavior, plus on the other hand it's also trying to explain that how rational actors, that means there are institutional constraints. Constraints means barriers. The institutions are creating barriers, and how do these rational actors, they navigate through these institutional barriers and maximize their utility. Got it? Clear hai? That means yahan pe we are talking about institutional barriers, we are talking about institutional constraints, but because the actor is rational, he is strategically navigating. Navigating means he is strategically trying to find a path. जैसे for example Google Map, चलो example देता हूं. For example Google Map, now from this location I want to go to what, for example Mehroli, and I want to see the Qutub Minar in the night. Now Google Map मेरे को ले जा रहा है. All of a sudden what I see is that there is a jam out there. So what I do, I click the Google map again and I say options, more options के लिए उसको click करता हूं. So what it is, it says the fastest route is this side. That means because I am a rational actor, so strategically I try to navigate. My goal was what? My goal was to reach Qutub Minar and to see Qutub Minar at night. That was my maximum, that would maximize my utility. मेरा यूटिलिटी को मैक्सिमाइज करने के लिए आई हैड टू गो एंड सी कुतुब मीनार इन द नाइट, द डैजलिंग लाइट्स एंड ऑल, आई हैड टू सी दैट. वो मेरा सेटिस्फैक्शन था. दैट वाज टू मैक्सिमाइज. बट I took a route, but that route was full of jam. It was jam packed. So what I do, I strategically navigated, I strategically used Google Map and I found another route which was cost effective and more benefit, which was less cost and more benefit. That means कम टाइम लगा वहां पहुंचने को, तो पेट्रोल में खर्च कम लगा, प्लस आई रीच्ड देयर एंड आई कुड मैक्सिमाइज माय यूटिलिटी. यही वो कह रहे हैं. ठीक है. सो नाउ इज इट क्लियर? हां जी, इज इट क्लियर दिस पॉइंट दैट दिस अप्रोच सीक्स टू एक्सप्लेन हाउ इन इंस्टीट्यूशंस, two things they are explaining: how institutions are saving individual behavior and how rational actors strategically navigate institutional constraints. That means there was an institutional constraint. I strategically navigated it and I found an other path. So how they strategically navigate the institutional constraint to maximize their utility. ठीक है जी, clear? I think it's clear now. Then RCI, that is Rational Choice Institutionalism, it focuses on analyzing the incentives, constraints and decision making process of actors within institutional context. That means we know that the actors are very important. Here in this approach, in this model, we are always talking about the actors. Now you must be thinking, who are the actors? The actors are we, the political institutions. No, that means the political actors. So this model, it focuses on what? It focuses on analyzing incentives. It focuses on analyzing the constraints. It analyzes incentives, it analyzes constraints, it analyzes decision making process with reference to the institutional context. That means within this institutional context, the actors are there and it's trying to analyze incentives, it's trying to analyze constraints and decision making process of the actors. Okay. And last, it employs formal models, game theory, quantitative methods to analyze institutional behaviors. See, I had said you in historical process, when we were talking historical institutionalism, in historical institutionalism, we saw that they were talking about what? They were talking about case studies, they were talking about comparative analysis, they were talking about quantitative techniques. Okay? But here, what are the methods they are talking about? Formal models, game theory, quantitative methods, as well as quantitative methods, and these all are done to analyze institutional behavior and outcome. Okay ji, clear hai? So all those who are live online, first of all, I must say that you are live online on Drishti Learning app. And this is Drishti IAS and myself, I am Girish Venkatesh. So I'll welcome you all to this learning app, and it's a live online platform from where we are providing you classes for UGC-NET paper 2 political science. Okay. And we at Drishti IAS, we are student friendly That means our main focus is on the career of the student, building the career of the student. And for that, we as a faculty here, we are totally dedicated towards the syllabus and the exam pattern of teaching. Our focus is only on the syllabus and the exam pattern of teaching. That is the smart teaching for us. And one more thing, after every topic gets completed, I promise you that we will have a MCQ session so that you will be, practiced. You will have a pre-practice of the MCQs which can be coming from those things. Okay. And as you all have been enrolled to this course with the Drishti IAS, so you might be getting some books and all, study materials and all, whatever have been promised to you. So that will be reaching to you whenever the time is there. That means whatever the time has been allotted for the delivery of those things, it will be coming to you. And with regard to any problem you're facing with regard to the class here, then please tell me. I'll try to fix things up. And if it is with regard to the teaching pattern which I'm adopting, or I'm going too fast, or I'm not able to make you understand, or things you're not able to understand, so please tell me, please give me the suggestion so that we can work on it and we can make things better. But if things are very good out here and you're loving the things and you're loving the way I'm teaching, then please give your good feedbacks, and these feedbacks are very important to us because they are just like petrol. They are just like a petrol to me. Why petrol to me? Because पेट्रोल से ही गाड़ी चलेगी और तुम्हारे इस टीचर की गाड़ी तुम्हारे फीडबैक से चलेगी. ठीक है, चलो जी. So let's go into the criticism. We got into the criticism of historical institutionalism. Got it? Historical institutionalism का criticism क्या था? Overemphasis on historical aspects. Overemphasis. It was overemphasis on historical aspects. ठीक है. Plus उसका criticism और दो था. Let's revise it. I too forgot. Overemphasis on historical analysis. I never forgot, but I had to do this. Neglect of agency. Agency ka neglect. That means they are neglecting, they are overlooking the agency and strategical behavior of political actors. The lack of generalization. That means they are only talking about unique historical trajectories and specific contents. So that. So what about RCI? Criticism of RCI. First, simplistic assumptions about rationality. Simplistic. Simplistic means whatever they are assuming about rationality, individual rationality, that assumption is very simple. That means the critics argue that rational choice institutionalism relies on simplistic assumption about individuals' rationality, ignoring the complexity of human decision making and influence of social and cultural factors. That means the critics are saying that the rational choice institutionalism, it's ignoring the complex side of individual. It's ignoring the complex side of an individual. That means here in the rational choice institutionalism, it's only relying on, it's only depending on simplistic assumption of individual behavior. Simplistic. That means there is a simple thinking of individuals' rationality. Now that simple thinking of individuals' rationality, that means they have assumed individual rationality very simply. That means they have not taken into context the complex human decision making and the social and cultural factors which influences the human decision making. Got it? That means when rational choice institutionalism talks about rational individuals, then they are assuming a simplistic approach to individual rationality. Simplistic approach. But the critics say that human behavior is complex and it is influenced by various social and cultural factors. That is what the RCI or rational choice individualism has neglected. Then neglect of non-rational factors. That means here only rational factors have been taken into point. That means as they overemphasize historical context, here in this model there is an overemphasis of rational factors. So what about the non-rational factors? Non-rational factors like emotions, values, social norms, they also do something with regard to political outcomes. So what about them? That means this particular model, it only focused on rational individual behavior. It only focused, exclusive means only focus on rational individual behavior, and it neglected non-rational factors like emotion, values, social norms which shape political outcomes. Then last one, limited explanatory power. Limited explanatory power means critics say that the rational choice institutionalism provide limited explanatory power when it comes to understanding complex political phenomena and the role of institutions beyond individual decision making. That means the third criticism with regard to this model is that this model only is able to understand, this model provides limited explanatory power. That means it has limited explanatory power, and when it comes to explaining or when it comes to understanding complex political phenomena, it has not done that. As well as when it comes to understanding the role of institutions beyond individual, it's not done that. That means for complex political phenomena, this model has not focused on understanding complex political phenomena, nor this model has focused on understanding the role of institutions beyond individual decision making. So on three grounds, this approach was criticized, this model was criticized. One was it did overemphasize, that is simplistic assumption about rationality. That means whenever we are talking about individual rationality, there was a very simple assumption. Okay? It did not take into consideration the complex nature of human decision making when it comes to cultural factors and social factors, because they also influence. Then it focused on only rational factors, so it neglected non-rational factors like emotion, values and all, which also play a very important role in shaping political outcomes. And last one is that limited explanatory power. That means limited explanatory power means it ignored complex political institutions or complex political phenomena, and also it ignored the role of institutions or political institutions when it comes to talking about beyond individual political decision. Okay? Yes. Anyone? So till now we have done with new institutionalism. We revised the entire traditional one. Please remember, we did revise the entire traditional one. Amit, Prapti, Shubham and others. Is it clear to everyone? Please tell me. Prapti, give your feedback. Prapti Sharma. So this criticism we have done with, okay? So now let's go with the sociological institutionalism. There's not much time left, 10 minutes, but still we'll try to do it. Sociological institutionalism. This is something which is related to sociology, I guess. Yes. Sociological institutionalism, they define institutions as entity that provide frames of meaning and that guide social action. That means here institutions are entities which provide frames of meaning. That means these institutions, they guide what? Social action. That is, here they are focusing on the relationship between institution and society. That how do institutions, they guide social action? How do these political institutions, they are guiding social actions, and how is society guiding political institutions? That means it's showing a relationship between institutions and society, this particular model. It views authorized structure such as rational and efficient, suggesting that similarities in the form of distant institutions. That means here the political structures are authorized as rational and efficient. That means in this model, the political structures, they are rationalized, and they are rationalized, they are they are authorized structures, and these authorized structures are efficient as well as rational. And they say that in distant institutions there are similarity with the institutions. Okay. Third point, sociological institutionalists argue that societies adopt new institutional practices not necessarily because they are more effective in achieving desired outcome, but because these practices enhance the acceptance and legitimacy of institution and their participants in the eyes of the public. Very important to understand. Thank you, Prapti. Very important to understand. What are these sociological institutionalists trying to talk about? First of all, their main focus, this model's main focus is on what? The relationship between society and individuals. Relationship between society and individuals. That means they are defining institutions as entity that provide frames of meaning and that guide social action. So it's trying to find a relationship, trying to tell the relationship between society and the individuals. Second point, it says that sociological institutionalism talks about an authorized structure which is rational and efficient. Second point. Now, third point, which is very important, please, everyone who is there online, this third point is very important. Do not look at the watch. Do not look at the watch. Look at this point. The third point is very important. Your patience, your hard work will give you wonders, I'm telling you. So you need to have patience. Don't look at the watch. Now see, what is this third point saying? The third point says that sociological institutionalists, what they say, the societies adopt new institutions. Every society, they will adopt new institutional practices. Why? Not because they are more effective in achieving desired outcome. That means societies, they are adopting new institutional practices. When they are adopting new institutional practices, what is the mind frame? What is the, what is the aim that they are adopting these new institutional practices? It's not that these new institutional practices, they are able to achieve desired outcomes. But because of these new institutional practices, what is happening? There is because these practices, they are enhancing the acceptance and legitimacy of the institutions. That means whatever institutions are there, their legitimacy is enhanced, their acceptance is enhanced. Legitimacy means their legal authority is enhanced. No one will question these institutions. Okay, so these sociological institutionalists, they say that when people, when public, when it adopts, when it accepts new institutional practices, it's not because these institutional practices are more effective in achieving desired outcome. It's not because they are more effective in achieving desired objective, but they are accepting it because its legitimacy is enhanced, its acceptability is enhanced, and their participants in the eyes of the public. That means in the eyes of the public, these new institutions, what has done, because these practices enhance the acceptance and legitimacy of the institutions or the participants in the eyes of the public. ठीक है? So last point फिर से मैं बोल रहा हूं, क्या बोला? Last point I said, once again I'll tell, we were talking about sociological institutionalism. Here the main focus is relation between institution and the society, and here there is a authorized structure which is rational and effective, and here the people, they argue that the people or the societies, they adopt new institutional practices not because these practices make it able to achieve the desired output, the desired outcome, because these institutions are more effective in achieving the desired outcome, not because of this, but these institutions in the eyes of the public, their legitimacy, their acceptability has been enhanced. That's why they are accepting. कि legitimacy enhance हो गया. Why we are accepting democracy today? Because according to us, democracy is legitimate. Democracy is accountable. Democracy is what? Effective. So that's why we are accepting democracy. ठीक है? तो यहीं पे वो बोला गया है कि these new institutional practices are not accepted because they are more effective in achieving desired output, but because these practices enhance the acceptance and legitimacy of the institution or their participants in the eyes of the public. Last, sociological institutionalism offers different perspective on the relationship between institution and individual action. It suggests societies constantly adopt new institutional practices to enhance acceptance and legitimacy of institutions or their participants rather than solely based on effectiveness of these. Again, the same thing. Here, they are trying to talk about from a different perspective. That means here there is a different perspective in which they are trying to talk about from a different perspective in different point of view. From a different point of view, they are trying to talk about the relationship between institution and individual action. Plus, they also suggest that societies, they constantly are adopting new institutional practices. Why? Because it is enhancing the acceptance and legitimacy of the institution as well as the participants. Okay? This is what is there. But here the criticism is it lacks theoretical clarity, it limited attention to individual agency and underestimating rationality and efficiency. So this is what, if we go with this criticism, lack of theoretical clarity. Lack of theoretical clarity means there is no theoretical clarity. There is no, it's just an hypothesis. The critics say that there is no clarity here. There is just an hypothesis. There is no clear causal mechanism to establish it. Okay, so there is lack of theoretical clarity. It's based on hypothesis. Then limited attention to individual agency. Limited attention to individual agency means the focus is on social aspects of institutions. So as a result, the role of individual agency and strategic behavior in shaping, it's neglecting that. That means this particular model, it's neglecting individual agency's role. It's only focusing on social aspect. Then underestimation of rationality and efficiency. Underestimating, that means it's downplaying the importance of rational decision making and efficiency consideration. That means it's only focusing on social acceptance and legitimacy. यहाँ पे सिर्फ फोकस था social acceptance and legitimacy में. That means why were the people accepting the new institutions? They were accepting it because it's enhancing their acceptability, it's enhancing their legitimacy and participants. ठीक है? That's why they were accepting. It's not focusing on the importance of rational decision making and efficiency. ठीक है? वो new institution का efficiency पे focus नहीं किया जा रहा है, वो उस new institution के rational decision making पे focus नहीं किया जा रहा है, उसके legitimacy और उसके acceptance पे किया गया. So sociological institutionalism criticism is that it's only focus on social acceptance and legitimacy. That means it's underestimating rationality and efficiency. It's limited attention to individual agency because it's focusing on social aspects. And the last one is that it's lack of theoretical clarity. Okay? Okay. So we have done with today's class. In today's class, we totally talked about the new institutionalism and its model. Tomorrow, we'll be talking about the comparison between new and old institutionalism. We'll do that. And then we will move to systems approach again, structural functionalist approach again. There we will talk about David Aston in systems approach. So this all things have to go on. So this weekend we will be finishing it most probably. Otherwise till Monday we'll be finishing all the approaches. Okay. So till then, goodbye everyone. Thank you all to come live on the class, join live on the class with me. Myself Girish Venkatesh, on behalf of Drishti IAS, I thank you all, and we thank you all to join us online live on Drishti Learning app. Any inconvenience which was caused during this class with regard to the internet and all, we are sorry for that, and we will make sure that it never happens next time. Okay? Thank you all for attending today's class. But one last request to each and every one of you. Your feedback is the most important part of this class, because your feedback will let me know whether you were able to understand the class, what were your doubts, where you faced the problems, which concepts you were not able to understand. And if you are able to understand everything, then please give me a thumbs up with a nice remark for the way we dealt with this chapter. And yes, today's task for you all is that you have to go through the book with regard to new institutionalism and its 3 models. Okay? Thank you. Goodbye from my side. Thank you all.